fellow stitchers, this is Erin, and this is Flosstube number 4 of Stitches and Clicks, my Flosstube channel about cross stitch. Welcome to everyone who is returning, and a really warm welcome to anyone new. I hope you like what I have to share and consider liking and subscribing. I am filming from a different spot in my craft room again. Last time I also tried out a different spot, trying to find out the best place to record from. So I moved over a little bit. You can see my box storage and my floss storage behind me. Today is Tuesday, October 11th. And in this video, I'll be sharing progress on 5 projects, and that does include 1 new start. I will be talking a little bit about some stash enhancement. I don't have a lot this time, but I do have some. I want to talk a little bit about plans. I'm actually planning to make some changes on how I rotate through my projects, so I'll be sharing some of that. And I am going to highlight one Flosstuber. I thought I would start highlighting a Flosstuber. I watch a lot of Flosstube and would really like to call out some either new ones that I've been watching or my favorites. So I'll start with the stitching, and then we'll go from there. All right, well, I'm going to start with my daily block, which each morning, the first thing I do is I spend 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how many stitches are in a 10 by 10 block. And I'm working on Farmer's Blessing by Silver Creek Samplers, which I'm doing as a model stitch for Brandy at Bestitch Me. First, I'll show you what it will look like when it's finished. And then I'll show you what it looked like last time. And here's what it looks like now. And I did move the Q-snap, and I finished the row with the corn. Last time I showed it, it had just the top of that sentence or that row, and then I moved on to the next one. So I'm about 26%. So far I've stitched 4,249 stitches. I worked on it for 14 days since the last time I visited with you. It is on 32 count ledger linen by Bestitch Me, and it is all in DMC, and I'm doing 2/2. So this is the project I show every time until it's done. According to Stitch Pale, I will finish sometime in May of next year if I continue at my current pace. So that's that one. The second project I worked on was my new start, and that is the World of Disney 3 by ZannaCrossStitch. I'm stitching that on 25 count easy grid Lugana, and I'm doing 1/1 on it. So let's take a look at that one. This is what it'll look like when it's finished. And I made just a little bit of progress. Again, I do kind of a assigned rotation each time I pick up a project, and for my full coverage it's a page row. So I did the first page, first row, so it's not much to look at yet. And there you go. So just very tip of the border of the frame around the bigger pattern. And this designer is on Etsy. And I use a bob ease to hold my loose threads. Again, I go 10 by 10 block, I go across the page, and then I park. When I'm working on one 10 by 10 block, I'll park in the next one. And then if there isn't any in the rest of the page row, I will go down to the next page row. So those are parked threads for using that method. And I worked on this particular project for 6 days. I did 590 stitches and I am less than 1% complete. This is a big project. It is $9.99 by $6.85. So it's going to take me a while. The next project I worked on was Autumn Creek Mill by LUCA-S. This is a kit, and I worked on this one for 4 days. And here's what it'll look like when it's finished. And what it looks like last time. And here is what it looks like now. And this one I am doing on the kit fabric. It uses anchor floss, and it is kitted for 2/1 full cross. I am doing 2/1 tent stitch, and it is 18 count cream-ish Aida with the grid, and it just seemed too bulky when I was doing over 1 full cross with the 2 strands. And I wasn't quite sure what kind of coverage I'd get 1/1 on 18 count, so I went with the tent stitch. This one's a lot of fun. I put in 590 stitches, and that is a page row. And I am currently at 2,700 stitches, or 3%. Sorry, I think I said 590. I actually did 900 stitches, which is a page row. And this one will come up again in my plans. And this project I have in a project bag I made for myself. And this was Tula Pink fabric I had for a quilt. And if you are new, I did give quilting a try a number of years ago, and it just wasn't for me. I may go back to it someday. I find I become a little obsessed with my corners where they all meet, and I was finding it more stressful than relaxing, and I really want my hobbies to be relaxing. And it has this kind of silly raccoon fabric on the inside from that same line. And that is Autumn Creek Mill, which is a LUCA-S kit. The next one I worked on was a kit by Teresa Wentzler called Noah's Ark, and it is on 28 count Monaco by Charles Craft, and I am doing it 2/1 with the kit threads, and then part of the kit will actually be 1/1. So here's what it'll look like when it's finished. And here's what it looked like last time. And here it is now. I am working on, and I finished the alphabet. So I'm not very far in this one, but I added the T through Z since I last worked on it. And I am saving the specialty stitches. There's specialty stitches that go on either side of that. I'm going to do that at the end with the back stitching and beading. There's a little bit of beading in this one. And I'm really looking forward. I'm going to move over to the animals next. So the borders, and next time you see this, hopefully I'll have an animal finished. So really liking this one. I worked on this one just for 1 day to get that part of the alphabet done. And that was 161 stitches. And I'm currently at 1,961 stitches, which is about 10%. It doesn't look like it should be 10%, so yeah, this is the full, so I have quite a bit left. This one is also in a project bag that I made myself, and I think it's similar to one I showed last time, which is the kind of the barn quilt symbols, and then just a muted one on the inside. Isn't that pretty? So that is Noah's Ark by Teresa Wentzler. And then the last one that I worked on was Halloween at Hawkrun Hollow. And this one I am doing on 36 count Vintage Country Mocha Edinburgh linen. And it is by Carriage House Samplings. This is what it'll look like when it's finished. This is what it looked like last time. And this is what it looks like now. I am working on the first block. I'm actually getting close on this one, although I think there's quite a bit more stitching at the bottom. But so I do a block row each rotation, so I added from kind of like the bottom of these windows since I last showed it. And this one's a lot of fun. I do have Christmas at Hawkrun Hollow pretty much kitted up. I'm still waiting for the fabric for my birthday order last month. And this one I worked on for 4 days, and I put in 509 stitches. I'm currently at 5,129 stitches, which is 5%. And again, I will come back and do the back stitch. So there's a lot missing in these corners, and then this little orange dot is a spider. There's a lot of people working on this one. So that is Halloween at Hawkrun Hollow. It is in another bag I made myself, which is farms and farm animals on the inside. And this one, I believe I showed at my last video. I had worked on this project as well. So those are the projects that I worked on. We'll move on to stash enhancement now. All right, so for my stash enhancement, I did order a couple pieces of fabric for things that I have in my queue to work on in the future. I'm not going to show that. I got some easy grid, and I got the fabric to do Merry and Bright, which is one of the Cottage Garden Samplings Songbird series. So the first thing I have to share is I got my September fabric of the month from Bestitch Me, and it is a really pretty neutral called Sand Dollar, and I get 32 count linen, and that is a very good representation of the fabric. So that is Sand Dollar. And I also, I mentioned in my last video that I was really interested in Spring Quaker from Leela's Studio. So I did actually order that. And this is what it looks like. So I now have Halloween Quaker, Christmas Quaker, and Spring Quaker. And I just really love the saying on this one. It says, no matter how long the winter, spring is sure to follow. I really love the colors on it. I was actually thinking that this fabric would work really well for the pattern. The color for fabric is a little bit pinker, but I did get the flosses. The pattern calls for some DMC and some Classic Colorworks. And I did throw the Classic Colorworks. I did get the Classic Colorworks. I'll do my DMC from Stash. But when I put these up against the fabric, here are the Classic Colorwork fabric colors. I think they look really good. I'd be interested in your opinion. This is going to be one of my new starts to get up to the 50, but it's not an immediate plan. But I think it looks really good. So let me know what you think. But it came like the same day that I got the Spring Quaker in, and I kind of put them together. So that was the first of my stash, a Spring Quaker with the Classic Colorwork flosses, and then my Stitch Me Fabric of the Month. Then I had to put in an order for something. I think I bought the beaver. So this is number 11 in the wood series. And when I put this order in, I added a couple things from my wish list from 123Stitch. He might be my favorite. I love him. I love the diamond pattern and how it changes color as it goes around from his tail, and then how it gets smaller on his back. I just really love that. So excited. The last one comes out next month. So I'll have all 12 again in my queue to start, but not anytime soon. So while I was ordering that, I ordered number 2 in the Cottage Garden Samplings, 12 Days of Christmas. I have number 1, and this is number 2, 2 turtle doves. That white is hard to see on here, so I might change up that fabric. I have a tendency to try to get the fabric patterns called for, but I also have a stash of fabric that's starting to build up, so I might try something different. And then I got another Cottage Garden sampling. I got Christmas delivery. I was going back and forth between this one and the series from last year. I think it was the Time for All Seasons series. I really like the Santa in that one, but I decided to go with this one. So that's Christmas delivery. And then this is my one Needlework Expo purchase. So far, there are a couple Silver Creek samplers that I like, but this is from Ink Circles. It's called Forest Path. And I have never done an Ink Circles before, and I really just fell in love with this one. See the deer going around. I think those are deer. Some kind of animal going around. And I like the Celtic kind of patterning around. So that'll be my first ink circle. And then the last one I got was Miss Christmas Eve by Mirabilia. And my Mirabilia stash is really growing. I don't know if I'll actually get through them all in my lifetime, but I'm collecting. So that was my stash. So not terrible this time. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was my plans. And what I've been doing up until October is I spin my wheel, it picks one of my projects, and I do my rotation on it. So full coverage, it's usually a page row. For non-full coverage, I pick a section of the pattern and I work through that, and then I spin my wheel until I get through everything, and then I go through my whole wheel again. And I've been adding more and more starts all year. And while I'm still going to let myself get up to 50 projects, I decided to try something for October where I create a little bit more focus. So I added enough new starts to my wheel to get up to the 50. And then I spun the wheel 5 times and pulled 5 random projects out. And for the month of October, I'm just going to focus on those 5 projects. If it seems to go well, I may try to do that through 2023 with some kind of guidelines, like when I finish my daily block, I move one of the 5 into my daily block and then spin the wheel to add a new 5th project and keep doing that as I finish projects through. I have a tendency to try different things and I get an itch for a new start or to work on something else. So I will reevaluate at the end of October. But for now, I did spin the wheel 5 times, and the projects that I picked were the Autumn Creek Mill that I just showed. It is Noah's Ark, which I showed, Halloween at Hawker and Hollow. So those 3 have already done a rotation with the new October method. And now I have Garden Prelude by Mirabilia. I'll show you here what it will look like when it's finished. And kind of my current progress so that we have a starting point. And then Meowtlander by GeckoRouge. I'll show a picture here. And that was a new start for me. So my current progress is really just 1 page row. So those will be my 5. So my daily block, which is Farmer's Blessing. And then I'll go through those 5. So Autumn Creek Mill is a page row. Noah's Ark, I kind of am picking somewhat of a row. I think I'm going to do an animal now as I go around the border. Halloween at Hawker and Hollow is a block row. Garden Prelude, right now I'm actually trying to do a page row. Those pages are huge. It's only, the Mirabilia, that pattern is half and half. So a page row is actually a whole, I'm trying to think if it's like a 10 blocks or 12 blocks. It's pretty long. And then for Meowtlander, it would be a page row. So I won't have quite as many projects to show, but I'm only getting through 5 to 7 projects in 2 weeks anyway, so I don't think it'll be much different. It'll just be more of the same projects, but hopefully I'll start seeing some progress. And while I really love to do the work, and it's not so much about the finished product, I do really like to see progress as well. So we'll see how this goes. And like I said, I have a tendency to change things up quite a bit, so it may change. So those are my plans, but it made me think, I'd really like to know how other people are, how many whips do you have? I'm letting myself go up to, I think it's going to be 50, 52. How many whips do you have? Let me know in the comments. I'd really like to learn more about how many whips you guys have and how do you rotate through your whips? Do you pick a bunch for, do you use a wheel? Do you just pick something? I know a lot of people are doing whip go, but is that the only thing that you use? I'd really like to know how other people get through their whips and how often you change up things, because like I said, most of this year I did the process where I spin the wheel, but I've also been adding in a lot of starts. I'll kind of do some statistics at the end of the year, but I think it's going to be a lot of starts. So would love to hear the comments or see your comments. That would really be fun for me to learn more about you guys and how you're handling your whips. So on to my Flosstuber Highlight. I watch, like I said, quite a few different Flosstubers, and there are some that have been newer for me, and then some that I've been watching since either they started their Flosstube or I started watching Flosstube. And the one I wanted to highlight this time is Catherine of the Needleberry Stitcher. And she's actually was on a little bit of a hiatus, but she has 2 new videos out now. And I really just enjoy her videos. If you're not watching her, I would really encourage you to check her out. I find her commentary very entertaining, and she's got really good projects. I really enjoy looking at her progress on her projects. And she's doing a quadrant, and I thought that was really interesting. So she has a full coverage, a fancy lady, a kit, and then she calls it a small or other. And I know she has a lot of whips. I don't know how many, but she kind of has a focus piece in each of those quadrants. And I thought that was kind of a neat way to handle your whips. And I think she has about 17 videos out now, and she's had 2 recently. So I would encourage you to check her out. And I will link to her video or her Flosstube channel below in the description box. I'm also going to try to be better about putting more details down in the description box about what I'm working on. So I'm planning to be on a vacation, another camping trip. The next time I would normally film a video, I usually film about every 2 weeks, or it's been pretty set on the 2 weeks. So it's probably going to be more like 3 weeks before I videotape again. And until then, I hope you guys have a time for stitching, and I'll see you soon.